Hey guys, Macro Shooter 9x18. I have not had much time over the holidays to break down gel blocks, and as a result, I don't have a video upload for you, my normal ammo testing ones. However, I would like to take this opportunity to revisit a previous video that I made about the VZ-61 Scorpion that I had 3D printed. This is the current iteration. I've changed it quite a bit since the original video. The original receiver I don't believe I have. However, I've changed the file I was using. So this one actually came from a guy in the 3D print gun community. Ivan the Troll made this one. But it's a CZAR. So Caesar. The main reason it's named that is because it actually uses an AR-15 fire control group as opposed to the VZ-61. To say that this is not really much of a VZ-61 is a bit of an understatement at this point, but I am pleased to announce that I have some range footage. I did have a single test from the original model that I built, where I was shooting it from a vise because I wasn't sure how well this was going to hold up. However, it got corrupted on my camera and I cannot retrieve it. So unfortunately, I only have footage of this one being fired, which is more than adequate to demonstrate that it functions. So, and the magazine, well, actually holds it. That was one of the gripes I had with the original. I think right now the only issue I have with this is the bolt hold open. But before I get on to the specifics of how the new build functions as opposed to the first iteration that I got to somewhat function, I'd like to just go ahead and play the footage. So yeah, as you can see, it fires perfectly fine. It didn't really have any hang-ups. I did have a little bit of travel with these pins. They were slipping through the holes, and before I had a failure, I decided to just stop shooting. But I got about 50 rounds through it before that occurred. So I feel like that was a pretty successful day. The fix for the pins slipping out, I could have gotten some non-walking pins. Those are a thing I could have gotten. They're non-walking. I can't remember the exact name, but there are pins you can get that will not slip through. I just went ahead and put a little dab of just epoxy over it because I don't really intend on taking those out, this one works. And if it doesn't, I can always just break it free and use the pins again. But yeah, it does use just a regular AR-15 trigger pack. And I did put a little extended plug in here, and that's just so it's easier to remove. I really wanted to put an adapter in here that would allow me to put an AR-15 buffer on it, and then I could have put a brace, but reading the news about pistol braces, I wasn't really sure how comfortable I was making a video of me showing that off, but that is what this plug is there for. It really doesn't serve any functional purpose. I just didn't feel like going back through and filling in this part of the receiver with material, so I just printed this out, mainly because I believe I said this in my first video, there is nothing metal on the back side of this. The receiver pins, or the bolt pins rather, they just go right into this plastic. So this plastic needs to be pretty tough, and it managed it pretty well. Mind you, it is just 32 ACP, but hey, I was pretty excited with it. I probably will fire, as I can get it, I'll probably fire, a few hundred rounds through this gun just to see how durable this particular frame, or receiver, I suppose, is. And yeah, just a little update for you. I did go ahead and I put because I had the ability to put whatever grip I wanted to, because it just accepts an AR-15 grip, I went ahead and put a Mauser C96 styled grip on there to give it a little bit of uniqueness over the other builds that are going around. I also used just a regular bolt right here. I believe this is I think it's an M5. I think it's an M5 bolt, but it's mainly because when compared to the original receiver, you can see that there's no extra material in that front pin right here. It's just, oh, there's a better angle. It's just that one little bit, and so to reinforce it, this little bit of material was added to either side of where the receiver comes in. And after shooting, I did take it down and look at everything and make sure nothing was too messed up. I don't know if I have a punch, but yeah, here we go. This will work. So yeah, it takes out the same way. If I wanted to, I could get a longer bolt, and because this one barely reaches through, I could get a longer bolt and actually have like a wing nut or something on the other end. I don't really foresee me taking this down much. It is a pretty tight fit, so usually I just cycle the action and that'll help it get out of there. But yeah, as you can see, there is an AR-15 style hammer assembly as well as a trigger, so a fire control group. For this, it does still use the stock parts from the VZ-61. That's the ejector, I believe. And then on this side, there is still the magazine release and the bolt hold open, which the magazine, unfortunately, it sometimes does, sometimes doesn't lock the bolt back on an empty magazine, but is what it is. So yeah, a little bit of epoxy was all that was needed to get it to hold true. But aside from that, I call this a functional firearm. Time will tell with more testing as to its durability and how well it functions long term. But as far as the first 50 or so rounds, it functioned perfectly fine to my standards. I didn't have any issues with it. Maybe in the future I could go ahead and throw something on the back end of this, but with everything going on, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this as a pistol. I don't really need it as a firearm. So that's about where that's going to stay. I do have a lot of those receivers just laying around. One of these days I'm going to have a little meltdown. And to get you guys a little bit of bonus footage, because you're missing the bi-monthly ammo test, I did print out another 3D printed gun. So this is just an AR-15 lower receiver that was printed out. And it's just in black. You notice it has these kind of Mad Maxy controls again, because with plastic I had to widen. Everything has to be wider. I tried some that were thinner and I always had issues with cracking, but this one is really just a lot of material. And so it holds up better, but unfortunately the stock takedown pins are not long enough to go all the way through. So a bolt and a wing nut hold it together. Not exactly the fanciest, but for a 3D printed receiver is not too bad. This is I believe this is called the Brick, is the design that was given, the name given to this design rather. So not too bad. I will show you some footage of it. And it's just right here. I fired about just whatever 5.56 I had laying around. I didn't really want to shoot a lot of it, but if you want to see some shooting footage, here it is. Huh? Yeah, it should be fine. One thing I'm not too sure of is it was pretty gassy, and I'm fairly certain that has more to do with the upper receiver. I didn't really play around too much with the gas, so that also could have been the fact that I just picked up some 5.56 from my workshop that was just in a bag, and had no idea how long I've had that or where it has been. But I was like, I'm not going to open up a whole new box of 5.56 because that stuff is about $1 a shot these days. So I didn't really want to test it that much. When I get the chance to kind of play around with it, I'll probably look into that gas, because if you can see in the video that I could see it better in the video, but there was a lot of just gas coming out. It was almost like I was running a can on it, but I was not running a can. It was just a lot of bag pressure, so probably need to adjust the gas. And I have another, this one I have not tested, but this is hopefully going to be featured on the channel if I can find some 40 Smith & Wesson. This is the Low Point. I never thought I'd own one of these, but here we are, because I needed a 40. I've been saying it for about a year now that I need a 40 for testing, so I decided I'd go ahead and print one. So this is a 3D printed receiver, or a frame, for the High Point. What model is this? JCP is the model. And it functions like, I mean, it functions in that I can pull the trigger and, you know, the firing pin moves forward. So, I mean, it works in that, or the striker rather. The striker moves forward when I pull the trigger. So in theory, this should work. I'm definitely going to be firing this one from a vise. I do fire all of them from a vise before shooting it from the hand, because even though I'm fairly confident in how well they're going to work, I don't want to leave anything to chance. But yeah, so that's a little bit of just the extras that I've been doing on the side. I could probably update more. I do have other projects going on with 3D printed firearms, but I'm going to leave those until they're finished. I will say right now, part availability is hard, but ammo is harder to get. So I'm really not sure about the future of the channel with the ammo shortage continuing on, but I will continue making videos as best I can. So hope everybody had a good New Year's, and I'll see you in the next one.